type.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Ross Patterson Revolution! Brought to you by BlackRifleCoffee.com.
Welcome to Ross Patterson Revolution. Woo! We got a big one today, kids. We got a real big one today. We got Michael Jai White on the show, who, if you don't know what Black Dynamite is, you better go rent it ASAP. It's in my top 5 of all time. Top 5 funniest movies of all time. I've watched it probably 30 times. That's no lie. Maybe more. It's one of those movies that was at my house on Blu-ray. I've had probably 10 to 20 copies over the years. Everybody kept taking it, and then I'd have to buy a new one. I know almost every single line in that film. It's one of those films that comes on, and I will stop whatever I'm doing. I don't care that my wife's got a doctor's appointment or the dog needs to be walked, whatever, and I'll watch the entire movie, and then the rest of my life goes on after the movie's over, but not until then. It was one of those movies that at the time when it came out, it changed my life personally. I was going through some things that I needed a boost like this, and I needed to see that somebody else was making films like the films that I was making. And this is a really, really big deal for me today. So we're going to get them on the horn here in a second. But first, we've got some sponsors who pay for this whole show to be on the air, which on days like this, I am unbelievably grateful. Because it's to talk to somebody like this is it means the world to me. First and foremost, talking about BlackRifleCoffee.com. Boom, here's their K-Cups right here. Ooh. This is their Just Black K-Cups. They got 2 different flavors. They got Just Black, and they've got the caffeinated the caffeinated AF is my jam. They're going by caffeinated AF now, by the way. They're getting bigger, kids, is what's happening. And they can't have children reading as fuck on the label. So they're going AF these days, and I'm not going to fault them for that. But those are my 2 jams. It's a premium roast-to-order coffee. Gets made right in the warehouse, fresh, and then bagged up, shipped to you 2 to 3 days later. So you're getting fresh coffee. You're not getting rebagged coffee. And they got the hottest apparel in the game. It is. I woke up again today, and you're like, Ross, still wearing the same sweatshirt. What's the deal? It was cold again today. I cannot figure out this weather. We're mid-April now, kids. Should be warmer than this. Still bundling up with my BRCC apparel. Go to BlackRifleCoffee.com. Join their Coffee of the Month Club. Grab some of their apparel, and they also got 10 mugs and everything else. That's amazing. Use the one-time promo code REVOLUTION at BlackRifleCoffee.com for 20% off. I'd use it on the Coffee of the Month Club. That'll be the biggest savings. Next up, we got StrikeForceEnergy.com. Strikeforce Energy, yep. This is my fave here, the grape. Make America Grape Again. They got 4 amazing flavors. They got original, they got grape, they got orange, they got lemon. They got the 10-pack, and it's only 99 cents a piece. They got a 40-pack, and they got this 750 milliliter bottle that rests on your bar top or countertop, and you can just boom, boom, pop a couple of squirts in and go. Go to StrikeForceEnergy.com, type in the promo code REVOLUTION for 20% off. They also have a subscription of the month club, and they ship everywhere in the entire world. Big fans of StrikeForceEnergy.com. Next up, we got StraightRazors.com. I'm so used to Jessie doing the sound effects. She's not here. She's not here today. StraightRazors.com. Boom. These little guys, these little straight razors. All you need to get the day started, and their Smolder Aftershave is the business. It comes in a bigger bottle than this. They get travel sizes as well to get on airplanes. If you're a man in the world today and you're needing some man products to use, they got shampoos, they got beard oils, they got conditioners, they got mustache waxes. Their aftershave and cologne is second to none in the world. Go to straightrazors.com, type in the promo code REVOLUTION for 20% off. That's going to get you a big savings there because their stuff is real nice, and you're going to need that 20% off. Again, straightrazors.com, promo code REVOLUTION, 20% off. Huge fan of those guys. Father's Day is around the corner. Get your dad a shaving kit. Shaving kit will be great. Last but not least, we're talking about the Kayu app. That's Kayu. This app was created by 2 Green Berets out of Fort Bragg. With Facebook going on in flames, everybody's looking for a new social media app. You can just go right to your iPhone, your Android, and get it on and popping. It's free. You can just download it for free and check it out. What it is it combines travel, lodging, vacations, you name it, all into one. Hookups. And it's got a picture of the person, so you can see them, you can meet them, you can greet them, you can rate them to see how fun they are and decide whether or not you want to hang out with them. Maybe split some costs on a vacation or a concert or go hiking or shoot guns together. Whatever it is you do, you can find new friends and rate them. See if they're down to really rage, because you can't get that on Facebook. Download the Kayu app. It's free. It's Kayu. Again, iPhones, Androids, you name it. That is a free app. No strings attached. Go and get it today. I'm going to call Michael Jai White and get him on the phone and ask him about his new movie, Outlaw Johnny Black, as well as probably fanboy out over Black Dynamite, to be honest with you. I know everything about the movie. So let's get him on the phone, shall we? Ladies and gentlemen, we have Michael Jai White on the show. Am I saying Jai right?
Absolutely.
I am. It's that one's that's a sexy middle name. Not a lot of men can pull off Jai.
Yeah, well, well, thank you.
Thank you for being on the show. First of all, I just want to start off by saying I'm an enormous fan. Black Dynamite was one of those movies that changed my life, I think.
Wow. Well, I'm grateful.
Yeah, it's I'm a gigantic comedy nerd. I'm a comedian. Obviously, the audience knows I make my own films, and God, I've done almost too many to count at this point. But at the moment that Black Dynamite popped up in my life, I had taken all my money that I had made from acting over the years and opened up my own production company, and I was making crazy exploitation movies like Black Dynamite was.
Really?
Yeah. I did a movie called FDR American Badass, and I did a movie called Pool Boy Drowning Out the Fury, and they were both in post-production at the time, and I wasn't sure how they were going to be perceived to the American public. And then one of my best friends was working at Sundance and had seen your movie in Sundance, and it was almost like that moment in Back to the Future when Marvin Berry calls and he says, like, "Hey, it's your cousin Marvin Berry. You're not going to believe this. I found that sound you were looking for." That was the moment for me with Black Dynamite.
That's funny. Wow.
Yeah. So I and again, like I want to preface this to the audience because a lot of people know this story. I've said it in a lot of interviews, but I got a hold of your script after she called, and I was like, all right, great. And I was waiting for this movie to come to LA. And I saw it at the Los Angeles Film Festival. I'm not sure if you were at that screening by any chance. Were you?
Los Angeles Film Festival. I'm not sure. I don't remember.
It was in a concert venue, and they had a giant blow up screen in the middle of it. And the reason why it was so monumental to me was it held about, I want to say 1,200 people. And it was the first time that I had seen a movie on a theater screen that it was treated like a rock concert. I mean, people were going nuts, and it was all outdoors, and it was incredible.
Oh, yeah. That one, I couldn't make it. I was filming something else at the time. I was out of the country, actually.
Gotcha.
That was the one, I believe, at the Hollywood Bowl.
Yeah, right. It was right across the street from the Hollywood Bowl. I remember parking over there, but I talked to your director afterwards, Scott Sanders, and I was like, man, this is as close as you can get to being like a comedic rock star. I mean, people were going nuts for the entire screening, and they were laughing so hard that I had to go and see it again when it came out in theaters because I had missed a lot of the jokes at that screening.
Wow. Cool.
Yeah, yeah. So ever since then, once that movie came out, both of those films that I had in post-production subsequently came out, and your movie was successful. These ended up doing pretty well, and I was like, all right, thank God. I think that I'm going to be all right in this life. I think I'm going to be okay.
Great.
Yeah, yeah, but with you, the shocking thing about it is I first came across you when you were playing Mike Tyson in the biopic.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's my baptism into the industry. Really, I mean, that's the thing that really put me on.
Yeah, it was strange because when you hear about famous biopics like that and people being cast in them, it can go one way or the other. I just saw that Tupac one that came out, and the guy looked like him, but he didn't sound like him or have the energy of Tupac. When I saw you in the Tyson biopic, not only did you look like him, I mean, your physique is I would say better than Mike Tyson at the time. Jesus, but you're an amazing actor, and you pulled that off incredibly.
Thank you.
Yes,
it's one of those things where it could make you or bury you. It was a rare situation because Tyson and I are about the same age. Usually, when you do a biopic, it's about somebody who's old or dead, and so I had the pressure of playing somebody who the entire world knew. So if I got it wrong, I'd probably never be heard from again.
Yeah, I strangely felt that way too, where I've had friends of mine go up for biopics and I feel like they've gotten it wrong and their career really sputters after that. You knocked it out of the park,
right,
and it seemed like you just took off from there.
Yeah, well, I was real lucky to do a role that that actually challenged me like that. You don't really come across roles like that very often. But I remember my greatest compliment was from Eddie Murphy, who was a good friend of Mike Tyson. And I met Eddie Murphy on the set of Nutty Professor. A friend of mine, I went with a friend of mine to the set, and I didn't know what to expect. And there was this fat guy walking around with an entourage of people following him, who walked up to me and started talking to me and said, "Hey man, I'm a good friend of Mike Tyson. I wanted to hate your movie, but I saw it." And I was like, "Wait a minute, this is Eddie Murphy's voice coming out of this fat guy." and it freaked me out, right? Because I mean, even his hands were like puffy and fat, and I had no idea what the premise of The Nutty Professor was with Eddie Murphy. I didn't know he was going to do it as a fat guy,
Wow.
But so I got this sincere comment coming out of this guy who I didn't realize was Eddie Murphy, paying me this great compliment that, his friend being Mike Tyson, and Eddie wanted to hate it, but he thought my performance was so good that he couldn't hate it, and he came up to his own set and congratulated me. I'm like, wow.
That's got to be surreal.
Yeah, it was surreal on a lot of levels, really.
Yeah, because like in comedy, like Eddie's a god to me. Was he a god to you? Like as you were coming up, Eddie Murphy?
Oh my God! Still to this moment, even the movie that I'm doing, that I'm getting ready to do, is Outlaw Johnny Black. I feel the golden age is when Eddie Murphy did the movies that he was producing.
Same.
Being, 40, like the 48 Hours, the Distinguished Gentleman,
Boomerang. Boomerang was one of my favorites.
Coming to America.
Yeah, Coming to America. Yeah, yeah.
Those movies, to me, they are the pinnacle of like a family-friendly, hilarious, some of the funniest movies ever. They achieve the balance that I never see in movies right now. So with Outlaw, I'm trying to achieve that same homage to those Eddie Murphy films, and also, more particularly, like the Bill Cosby and Sidney Poitier trio that they did back in the 70s.
Sure. Let me ask you this: Do you find with the success of Black Panther that it's easier, or that it's opening more doors currently in Hollywood?
Well, it's too early to say. Theoretically it should, but I mean, there's a lot of theoretical things that haven't gone the way that you thought.
Right.
So I mean, So we'll see, because a lot of times Hollywood treats things as a fluke because they don't want things to change sometimes. I'll see.
Yeah, exactly. Because now, after that movie came out, it was like, oh, this is going to change and open the doors of everything. You're a guy who's consistently working all the time, and you're also on the tip of the tongue of every casting director, by the way. So with my company, we do a ton of independent movies. You're one of those guys that immediately comes up of, hey, grab Michael, he'll sell really well foreign. Do you get that a lot?
Yeah, well, I've been blessed to be the catalyst for movies being sold foreign, even movies that were intended on an all-white audience, and they'll cast me just to get foreign dollars, which is a kind of a twist, because the old adage is that black characters don't sell foreign, and is not the truth, because really, action always sells overseas. It's always global. That's the reason why we know who Jean-Claude Van Damme and Jet Li and Jackie Chan are, because martial arts action is global. But we have yet to know other people from the Chinese. Like, we don't know the Chinese dramatic actors or the comedic actors or from other countries unless they do action.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. I understand what you're saying. And I see, I don't know if you see this, but I also see a lot of Chinese actors slowly being integrated into American blockbusters. I just saw the trailer for that Megalodon the other day with Jason Statham, and there's a female Chinese lead in it. So I think that's going to start happening over here as well. But a lot of people don't know you were also the very first black superhero in a movie.
Yeah, with Spawn.
With Spawn, yeah, and again, like that foreign, black people don't sell well over foreign. That's not true. Like, Denzel's also never had a problem either.
Well, it's never been true. Like, but see, the foreign audience that knows Denzel movies, they know Denzel's action movies.
Right.
Well, when Denzel just did, like, say, dramas or, that type of stuff, well, in foreign countries, they have their own dramatic actors that speak their language. So they don't really need our dramatic actors or our comedians,
Right.
But we blow stuff up in the United States. We drive trucks off of bridges, and, we do that kind of stuff. And that we do that better than anybody else in the world. And that's why our movies are exported in such a high demand, because of that action element.
Yeah, because it's easy overseas that they don't have to dub it. Because there's about 2 people in every country who dub all these movies. The less dubbing they have to do, the easier it is for the other countries to understand it.
Yeah, just looking at it, in a universal way. What do we need with another country's comedian speaking in another language? It doesn't translate here very well,
right?
Or another country's dramatic actor. There's these Oscar equivalents in every other country that we don't really know of, because we have our own.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, I just think that's just universal. In China, why do they need our dramatic actors?
Yeah,
They need our ass kickers. They need us blowing up stuff.
They do.
Yeah.
How did Black Dynamite do overseas, by the way?
Did very well overseas. Even in France. I mean, it was in over 50 theaters in France, and people were going to the theaters dressed in 70s outfits, very much like Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Ah, that's great.
Yeah. So but in other countries, I mean, we got a standing ovation in the Czech Republic, and it kind of blew my mind. One time in a film festival in Italy, we got these applause breaks throughout the movie, and one that really freaked me out is that when there's this leap of logic that goes on in Black Dynamite when they start putting together the conspiracy behind Anaconda Malt Liquor.
Yeah.
And going through the Greek and Roman mythology.
Yep.
Well, the Italian audience really appreciated it. I didn't realize it at the time until they started applauding. I painstakingly went through these things, making this ridiculous connection, but used actual mythology that they felt personally was made for them, because it was in fact the stuff they grew up on, And so I was like, oh my God, I didn't intend, on this, but this Roman audience really loved it. And and they started applauding, and I was like, why they? And I said, oh, that's right, because this is following their mythology.
Yeah.
I'm glad I put the extra work in to make it make sense.
That's right, because you wrote the script, right?
Yes.
Yeah. And what was your biggest inspiration for writing it?
Oh, I just got an idea and started laughing to myself. And I was doing a movie in Shanghai at the time, and just on my way to work one day, I was listening to James Brown's Superbad, and I just got the whole idea for the movie, including the whole nunchuck fight scene with Richard Nixon. And I'm just laughing to myself all day because I just had this goofy idea of this movie. And then when I got home, I started writing it and taking pictures of it, in character and stuff. And, and the rest is history.
That's great.
But I mean, I just, just something that I thought was funny to me. And I just knew that I had to be on top of controlling it because it's too easy to get wrong.
Yeah, if you would have let a studio do something like that, that movie would have never been the same, in my opinion. No,
yeah, it wouldn't have been the movie that I wanted to do.
No, not at all.
So that's So that's why with me doing Outlaw Johnny Black, which is in the Black Dynamite universe, so to speak. I'm going about doing it my way because I kind of understand how to do this.
Yeah, no. For the audience, is it a sequel or is it that character transported into a different time? I saw
it's like the makers of. It's like almost like when you look at like Monty Python, and they have the Holy Grail, and they also have Life of Brian.
Yeah,
it's a different incarnation. So it's like those filmmakers who made one movie made another.
Great. Okay. Awesome. Yeah, because when I saw it, a lot of the articles online said that it was a sequel to Black Dynamite. And when I saw the trailer, I was like, man, this doesn't feel like a sequel to Black Dynamite. But you're.
Oh no, it's a separate. It's its own movie. One thing I talked about in the Comic-Con a couple of years ago is our intention on making these three different movies. One was the kind of ghetto superhero kind of movie, which was Black Dynamite. The next one was the Western, which is going to be kind of like a cross between Buck and the Preacher and Blazing Saddles, which is Outlaw Johnny Black. And then a third was something that was kind of in the Blackula era, like a horror movie, but in that that blaxploitation era.
Oh, that'd be great. So,
yeah, and with that kind of thing. That's always been the intention on these 3 movies.
That's awesome. So with Outlaw Johnny Black, I saw that you guys were doing an Indiegogo. Is it over?
Mm-hmm.
Is it over? Is that still going on?
No, well, Indiegogo kind of joined on with us, but we were doing something that's different from necessarily crowdfunding. It's not about funding the entire movie via the crowd. It's about getting the crowd involved with it and offering things limited. Like we're going to have items and stuff that's going to be limited to the crowd, right? So with normal crowdfunding things, they get the money up, and then they're never heard from until the movie comes out.
Right.
Well, this is something we're going to invite the crowd to come along with us. Not only will we offer certain things to them, like, some people can win walk-on roles, and you can name the horse after your wife if you want, or whatever. Like all these different things, all these things that we're having this, innovative audience participation thing that's just going to continue on until we're going to be in theaters. But we're going to have there's a finite number of people that we'll be able to service. So the people that are get involved and subscribe, well, we're going to provide them access to, behind the scenes stuff. And like I said, some will win different contests to come and meet the cast, and we're going to have VIP screenings and all that type of stuff. These are the things that I want to provide for that audience, the audience out there that made Black Dynamite a success and made other movies that have done a success, mainly through word of mouth. Because a lot of times the studios, they don't. Things have changed, and they don't really sometimes. They like in the same way where if the studio had to make the movie, it wouldn't be the same movie.
Right.
Well, a lot of times the studios don't know how to connect with the public. If I've created a movie for my audience, I know how to connect with them, and I'm not going to let a studio tell me how to do that. So this is something that I'm very passionate about, and I'm building the audience, and I'm building my database of folks in which I'll get a chance to, travel around and have screenings and be able to thank them personally. That this means a lot to me. And, this works. I can do a lot more of this in the future. And not only me, and other filmmakers like yourself can do it. Because then, I'm showing how it's done by you maintaining a connection with your core audience. Because let's face it, a lot of these type of movies are not going to be made anymore.
No.
A lot of times these tentpole movies, these big monstrosities that would cost $100 million and everything else. These movies that they're formulaic. You've seen them already. Even before you see it, you know what the movie is. Well, these are not the type of movies that I like. I like movies that's going to take you places, and this is, I'm happy with like things like Black Dynamite, things like Blood and Bone, things that I produce. People they have a tendency to watch them over and over and extract new things from them. These are the type of movies that I want to make.
Same. And, from a studio level, like, I get where you're coming from about wanting to do everything yourself and get it out to the fans and making sure they're a part of it. Because I noticed with Black Dynamite, it was so good that even during the release, I don't feel that the studio marketed that correctly.
They had no idea. It's laughable what they did. Do you know? Because Tyler Perry had success, right?
Right.
And they just saw, black audience. Let's market it to the Tyler Perry audience. And they had a test screening with a Tyler Perry audience. Talk about limitations of thinking, limited thinking. Well, you've got church women watching Black Dynamite.
I would have paid to have been in that crowd, by the way.
Exactly, and there were critiques like like the car that went off the cliff didn't match the car that was driving. And there was a scene where this woman had a tear on her face, and then it was gone. You can actually there was a moment where you can actually see the boom mic. This was a terrible movie.
Right.
I'm like, wow, this is like you picked the audience that would not understand it more than anybody else.
Right.
And so this is the kind of stuff studios will do. And they just think all black people are alike. And so Tyler has a black audience, and we'll test it with that audience.
Boy.
And so that's kind of, these are those kind of decisions where you go, oh my God, seriously?
Yeah.
And then they thought, and I've actually was told, oh, this movie is way too smart for the urban audience. They're not going to understand it. I'm like, oh my God, really?
It's crazy. I mean, it's absolutely insane. Yeah. And because to me,
they said this should be in a college crowd. I'm
boy.
like, wow.
Because what I don't understand is this: like, Black Dynamite comes out. I think the studio did a terrible job of marketing it. It didn't matter anyways. The movie was so great that word of mouth picked up. Everybody and their mother has seen it. You guys ended up getting an animated show on Adult Swim. How many seasons did that go?
Mm-hmm. That went 2 seasons.
2 seasons, and you know, with like Netflix and things like that, and especially everybody bringing everything back, I'm surprised they didn't back the truck up for you guys to do a sequel of Black Dynamite. Was that ever a possibility?
Well, I wrote a sequel to Black Dynamite that was better than the first one, but just like what Dave Chappelle ran into, then you have the people who are the administrative people who were producing want to now be creatives.
Right.
And you know, and they want to run the creative, agenda, which is like insane.
Yeah, that's never a good combination to make a great film.
Yeah. And so, I mean, it's you live and learn, you move on,
Right. Yeah. Because I remember talking to I had actually gotten Scott Sanders attached to direct one of my films, probably I want to say about 5 years ago, and I sat down with him and I asked the same question about Black Dynamite too, and I was like, what budget do you need to make that happen? And at the time he said 5, and he really wanted $5 million to do the sequel. And he mentioned that, they were having trouble getting financing from people who actually understood it and wanted to make it. And to me, it was just insane to me. I still can't believe it to this day.
Well, I mean, if you knew the people that were involved with the producing of it, you would understand.
Gotcha. Look, we've all had those. A lot of my guys were overseas. They didn't care about who was in the movie or whatever, as long as you got a big name and they could sell it for, and you were fine. But I understand what you're talking about in that regard. Mm-hmm. When can we expect Outlaw Johnny Black, and when do you start shooting?
Well, I'm planning on shooting it this summer. So, I mean, what's been shocking is even before putting it out to casting, I've got major A-list actors, just a slew of them signing up and actually contacting me to do it.
Yeah.
And right now, with just the names that I know of now, it would be probably the most stunt casted movie I've ever seen. I think I have to go back to, I don't know how far I have to go back, but I mean, even on this level, just some of the names that, some of them I'm going to keep quiet until,
sure.
Some I don't want to let people know until that the movie's shot. Until it's actually playing. So, that effect really hits home. But if you just think, even during the cartoon phase of the movie, we've had just, who's who just coming in, lending their voices to the cartoon.
Oh yeah, yeah.
So,
Because everybody's a fan. Everybody's a gigantic fan of that movie. So I can only imagine you're getting hit up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we got Snoop, Chance the Rapper. We have Samuel L. Jackson. All these people just coming in to, do voiceovers. And the people who have now seen the trailer for Outlaw Johnny Black, there's, I'm just shocked at the people who want to do the movie sight unseen.
Well, the trailer was great. The trailer was really funny. I read an article that said you guys only shot it in a couple days, so I can only imagine.
No, actually, it was one day.
Was it really?
Was 1 day of shooting. Yeah, I designed the trailer first and then shot exactly what I sketched out.
Gotcha. That's amazing. So, and are you directing this one?
Yes.
Yeah, fantastic. Fantastic. And you're hoping to start shooting this summer, right?
Yeah, I'd like to start shooting this summer.
That'd be epic. I definitely can't wait for that. You're one of my favorite comedians out there. Because I have this in my white man's top 5 of comedies. I got Caddyshack at 1, Animal House at 2, Fletch at 3, Anchorman at 4, and Black Dynamite at 5. I mean, it is literally my top 5 comedies of all time. Yeah.
Wow, that's high praise. Thank you. Wow.
Yeah. It literally was one of those films where I was like, man, we need more of that out there. The studios aren't really making comedies like this. And independently, because I've gone through crowdfunding and all that stuff. I've had one campaign that was successful, one that was totally not successful, and then the other one just barely made it. Like on the last night of a Comic-Con at a party and stuff. So I know how hard it is to get going and maintain your creative rights because, at a studio, there's 30 people that want to put their hands in, rewrite it and all that stuff. And you're like, guys, just look at the success of the first one and let me do my thing again.
Yeah. I'm surprised at how it should be obvious to people. But it's not.
It's not, no. And filmmaking is a different beast.
It's sometimes when people with these egos pop up, there's no getting around it. Like I say, well, Dave Chappelle, learned like he had this successful series, one of the most successful comedy series ever, and then you got these executives that's going to tell him what's funny.
Yeah.
And it's like, my God, like the nerve of some people and just the lack of common sense that they won't just get out of the way. But, it's what we're facing.
Yeah, every day more and more. And again, with the success of all of these superhero movies, and Disney buying out Fox, because then, I mean, imagine going to pitch Disney executives, Black Dynamite 2 or Outlaw Johnny Black. Like there's not a prayer they would make it at this point. Not a prayer. Did you ever get to meet Mike Tyson over at Adult Swim when he was doing, because his show was around sort of the same time yours was. Did you ever run into him? And did he ever watch you as Tyson?
Yeah. I mean, Mike Tyson and I have run into each other a dozen times over time. I mean, we have a lot of mutual friends. I mean, being in the fight world is hard not to have mutual friends. Like one of my best friends in the world was a kind of stable mate in coming up and fighting with him. So there's just for years we've been around each other, but we don't really talk about it.
He never said, "Hey, I saw it and I like what you did."
Yeah, he did, but I mean, we might have spoken 2 minutes on the movie in life.
Right.
And, I didn't care. I mean, I kind of was like, well, I did the best I could. So if I do the best I could, I'm not going to look back. So I go, well, that's done. You know?
Yeah. I'm always curious though. Like, if somebody played you in a movie, wouldn't you want to talk to them and be like, "Hey, man, I really liked what you did"?
Well, I mean, yeah, we had a brief discussion about it. He really liked it, and I was like, well, thanks. So, and I think I joked around. I made a little joke. I said, "Yeah, I really hooked you up in those close-ups." Like, you know, and we just laughed about it. But yeah, it was like kind of like we had respect for each other before the movie, and just really didn't speak much on anything else really.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I run into him all. I can't help but run into him a lot of times. There's a lot of mutual friends parties and things like that. But seems like the people around us have more of a goof about it. They see us near each other and they go, "Oh, which one is which one? Who's the real one?"
Right.
That kind of thing. We just kind of smirk. But I mean, that's it's never been a issue with us.
No, not at all. It's one of those things. Like me personally, I'm so vain. If somebody played me in a movie, I would really sit down and dive into it with him. About my life. I didn't know if he was or not. I've met him once, but he was super high, so that doesn't count.
Yeah.
I met him in Vegas, I think last year, and yeah, he was super high. So I was like, I'm not even going to bother.
Right.
Is there any other dream roles out there that you haven't played yet that you want to do?
There's a lot. There's a lot. Luckily, there's a number of my dream roles. Look like I'm moving forward into playing them. I've got financing from other entities is not and so I mean I just signed a 3-picture deal with a company that is going to do these movies that I've been really longing to do. That I'm very excited about, and so just one of the reasons why I want to get Outlaw Johnny Black out before I start the filming of the other ones.
Are the other ones comedy or drama?
Oh, they're drama. They're drama, action, very global action type movie.
Gotcha. So if you had your druthers, which would you prefer to do? Because you're so great at comedy that it's I would kill to see in about 80 more comedies.
My favorite is action comedy. Anytime you've ever seen me do just an action movie or a drama, believe me, when the cameras were not rolling, it was a comedy. It's like I can't divorce my brain from the comedic stuff that goes on, and so it's like I could turn every drama I've done into a comedy, or I see the comedy movie within anything I'm doing. I don't care if it's a slave movie. I can, my mind just works in a comedic fashion.
Sure, you can find elements of humor in it.
Yeah.
That's awesome. How are you staying in this greatest shape, by the way? When I saw your age, I was shocked, and I was like, get out of here.
Well, I don't think it's that strange. I mean, for one thing, I have a good memory. I remember having to bust my ass getting to the gym when I worked a full-time job, and I'm competing against people who don't have to do that, right? So I remember how hard it was to do that, and promising myself, well, if working out is ever part of my job, I should be slapped if I'm not in the best shape. I'm not in the shape that people expect me to be in, As long as I'm not injured, I have no excuse. But, I look at it like I love to work out and train. So, that's kind of part of my job.
Yeah, no, it is. I find that as I've gotten older, my metabolism's slowing down, and I'm like, man, I cannot do the same stuff. Whereas you look like you could be either 20 or 50. I would have no idea. You look exactly the same, I think.
But I don't feel any different at all. I don't feel any different than when I was 25. There's nothing other than a few things that bother me when if I eat them. There is no indication that I know of as far as my age is concerned. I mean, I feel like I can do a lot of things at 25 that I couldn't. I could do a lot of things now that I couldn't do at 25. I don't, knock wood, but I don't feel like I've lost a step. So it's, I don't know. I mean, I think it's because I never really stopped.
Yeah, you seem to be always working. I mean, just going through your IMDb resume, you have a million movies that are either in post-production or pre-production. Your schedule is insane. And you've been a hugely successful working actor for the better part of, almost 25 years now at this point, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah.
Which is incredible. Let me ask you this. Will Eddie Murphy be a part of the Outlaw Johnny Black?
I'm certainly going to ask him. Because, Eddie Murphy told me, because, I invited him to be in Black Dynamite. And then Arsenio Hall played the role that I was, wanted Eddie to do.
Yep.
Well, and since then, Eddie has seen Black Dynamite and is such a fan of it, he kicks himself for not doing it. And so I'm like, well, okay, hopefully he does, he does Outlaw Johnny Black. I mean, I'm saying, hey, I'm doing another parody comedy, and tell me, if you want to come down, there's a great role for you.
That'd be great. I'd love to see him back doing comedies again.
On my friend. What's that?
I'd love to see him doing comedies again, wouldn't you? He hasn't acted in a long time.
I personally have been I've been in Eddie Murphy's ear for 15 years. Back a long time ago, trying to encourage him to do dramas, because people don't realize Eddie is a very introspective, very deep person, right? The role I've always tried to talk him into is, I think he would be an amazing Martin Luther King.
He'd be
Eddie
great.
Murphy is very introspective and is a very deep thinking person, and all he has to do is play himself, and people will be shocked as to the depth that he has. And I feel like not only could he get the syntax and the verbiage of Martin Luther King, there's a certain pronunciation that they have that's similar.
Right.
But with a little weight, I think he can make you forget he's Eddie Murphy. But we had an argument back then. He says, "Man, people don't want to see me do that." I'm like, I don't know. I always said that, hey, they accepted Jim Carrey, who was talking out of his butt. They accepted Robin Williams, who was sitting on his head saying "nanu nanu." How would they not be able to, accept Eddie Murphy? Well, Eddie is one. Even as famous as Eddie is, I think Eddie is one of the most unsung performers in the history of movies. Eddie is like, I don't think there's anybody like Eddie Murphy. First of all, the essence of his comedy is his acting. Like when he's playing all these different characters, like at that dinner table scene, he's playing them from within. He's playing, I know people are looking at the comedy, but he is actually inhabiting these characters. His acting is amazing. And just some of the stuff that he's put out there. he changed the face of comedy, dare I say, even more than Richard Pryor.
Yeah, it's funny you brought up Richard Pryor. I think that he should play Richard Pryor in a biopic, and I know that film's been gestating for a while.
Well, I think there's a visual that maybe will mess with you a little bit, but when I look at the influence that Eddie Murphy has had, Richard Pryor had an influence. When Richard Pryor did, comedies, there was the scared black guy thing that Richard Pryor kind of brought in his comedy. And Richard was always, frightened, the scared guy who's kind of, like, don't hurt me type of person.
Right.
And Cleavon Little and all these comedians after him kind of played that, right? For a short amount of time. Until Eddie Murphy played the wise ass, smartest guy in the room, witty, fast talking type of character that's still in movies today. And it's like 30 years now. And people are still playing Eddie Murphy's influence. Because from Will Smith to Kevin Hart to, Chris Tucker's, all of these were influences of Eddie Murphy, and that in that buddy comedy type of thing, we're still seeing the same thing that Eddie Murphy pioneered back in the day. To this day, the rush hours and that is Eddie Murphy. I mean, if Will Smith has made I think a career off of what Eddie Murphy pioneered.
Yeah, I 100% agree, by the way.
Exactly. Witty, sharp, kind of coiffed, well-dressed, slick, that whole thing, it's still here. And you don't see any inference of what the thing that Richard Pryor kind of, his influences has stopped a long time ago once Eddie Murphy came about.
Right. And I still think, and this is me personally, this is nothing against Will Smith, I still think he did it better than Will Smith.
No, of course.
And I miss him doing films. Did you ever get a reasoning out of talking to him why he didn't do movies? It seems like after Dreamgirls and he didn't win the Oscar, he just kind of walked out and then walked away from acting. I didn't really see him in anything after that. Did you?
I feel like Eddie just kind of did because I think the word "they" kind of meant a little too much to him. He had a crew that he hung with that I think stoked the flames of his creativity. The mindset behind Coming to America, the wisdom of movies like that and Harlem Nights, and then what he did was the homage he paid to Richard Pryor and Red Fox and Della Reese and all of that. That is like, oh my God. I prayed for that to continue.
Same.
That to me is just just some of the greatest. I think that's his greatest mark. But he kind of, I think he took on these studio roles and kind of played with the Bowfingers and the Holy Man and all these different things. I think he just kind of settled into something, and he was just kind of this this Hollywood player and played this that character and
and just kind of went along and cashed the paychecks. Who is your crew, by the way, that you roll with? Do you have a group of guys that you roll with for all these movies?
No, I have a very small group of people. I'm about my family and a very small core of friends. One of my best friends is Byron Menz, who was the co-writer of Black Dynamite with me and co-writer and star,
Right.
and co-star of Black Dynamite. And you know, he and we've created some I think great art that we're going to be putting out soon. Byron is one of the best actors I've ever met. He's one of the funniest guys. And so, you know, we're going to continue with our brand.
Yeah, that's great. Yeah, 'cause same with me. I've done a bunch of films, but I have a handful of actors and other creatives that I'm like genuinely friends with. We all have our acquaintances in Hollywood, but right. Yeah, I've got my core crew too, where I'm the same. It's like I'm married with kids. Like it's not like I have time to hit the clubs every night, you know?
Mm. Right. Yeah. I mean.
But before I get you out of here, what's the most quoted line you get from Black Dynamite?
It's got to be. Let's see. The most quoted line is, "I threw that shit before
I walked in the room." Yeah.
Yeah.
What about I am smiling? That one.
That's probably somewhere. That might be number 3 or 4.
Okay.
I get a lot of I get a lot of guys have that name. You know, that quote about the hush girl, hush little girl. A lot of guys have that name type of thing.
Oh yeah.
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 Yeah. I get it from all kinds of different angles. But one line is that wasn't mine is that Black Dynamite, I sell drugs in the community. I hear that a lot.
Oh yeah. But Black Dynamite, I sell drugs in the community. Yeah, big fan of that. Who was that? Yeah. That was Cedric, right? Wasn't it?
Yes, it was. It's pronounced Cedric.
Yes, Cedric. That's it.
Yeah. But that was the toughest line for me to deal with because he threw that out at me. That was truly an improv line that it was hard for me to keep a straight face when he said that.
That's great. That's my favorite from the movie as well. Well, listen, look, Michael, I appreciate you being on the show. Where can people find you? Where can people help out Outlaw Johnny Black?
Well, yeah, go to outlawjohnnyBlackmovie.com and just see how you can be involved and take part and get the message out there. I can be reached at official Michael Jai on Instagram, or then on Facebook and Twitter is just # Michael Jai White. Awesome. Listen, you're again one of my favorite actors on the planet these days. You'll never know what Black Dynamite meant to me at the time, and I greatly appreciate you stopping by Ross Patterson Revolution. Well, thank you so much, man. Thanks for having me. Thank you, and have a wonderful week, and enjoy Australia. Your publicist said you're heading to Australia. Yes, I'm looking forward to that. Awesome. Thank you, Michael. Right. Have a great day. Okay, you too. Bye-bye. Bye-bye. That was Michael Jai White. I'm not going to lie. I don't get too nervous doing interviews, but that was one of them. Black Dynamite has meant more to me than, again, a lot of people know that what I just said to him is totally true. At the time, during my production company's inception, I was probably, I want to say about a year in, had taken all my money from acting and opened up my own production company. I had made FDR American Badass, Darnell Dawkins Mouth Guitar Legend, and Pool Boy Drowning Out the Fury. They were so different that I didn't know what was going to happen with them. I didn't know if they were going to be successful. I didn't know if there was going to be an audience for it, to be honest with you, because I hadn't seen stuff like that in a long time. And during a moment of
darker times, depression, where I was like, this is all going to fail, and I'm going to be left with nothing. Black Dynamite came out, and I got to go see it at the LA Film Fest, and it was very similar to Pool Boy drowning out the Fury and FDR and those things. I was leaving boom mics in the shot, and there was, racial jokes that were over the top, and that gave me the confidence to move forward and at least allow me mentally to believe that I was on the right path in what I was doing career-wise, when truly I did not know at the time. And it's a strange thing how movies have that effect on you, and they could really either cheer you up or bring you down. And at that point in my life, at that exact moment, I needed a movie like Black Dynamite in my life. And I'm sure everybody at home and out there listening has those same moments as well. And whether it be a movie or a song or a friend calling out of nowhere or an email or a message or somebody sending you need something every now and again to pick you back up. And at that time in my life, it was this movie and that man. And I think that's why I felt so nervous talking to him, where I was just like, oh shit. He doesn't know the importance that I had placed on it, but I did. And it meant a lot. The fact that he would come on and do this show means the world to me. Go and check out Outlaw Johnny Black, the movie.com. Go to his Twitter and go to Michael Jai's Twitter and tell him thank you so much for doing Ross Patterson Revolution, and just tell him how fantastic it was. The more people that hit him up and help fund projects like these helps me as well, and it also helps us not only get great guests on the show, but me to continue making crazy movies like he's making as well. So please go ahead and thank him. Thank you for listening to Ross Patterson Revolution. Wow, I still can't believe that Michael came on the show. This was a dream come true today. Amazing. Thank you everybody for listening. Good night, everyone.